Hello, the library came of trumps and has sent me another one from the Women's Prize longlist, and it's The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, and it's a real monster of a book, nearly 600 pages, and I enjoyed it. It didn't actually take as long to get through as I thought it would. I don't know about you, but every time I see a book that is this big and longer, I think, oh, when, how? This one, Ruth Ozeki, if you didn't know, she is a Zen Buddhist priest, and so we have elements of Zen Buddhism in this. And we have the story of Benny, and Benny is 14, and he's lost his father in a tragic accident. And so this is a book about the way he deals with grief and loss, or the way he doesn't cope with it. His mother, Annabelle, she almost blames herself for her husband's accident. And her way of dealing with grief is to almost drown herself in a mountain of flesh and belongings. She hoards, she collects. Benny starts hearing voices. He hears objects talking to him. Socks saying that they don't like to be apart, socks like to be together. And this all comes to a head when he's in school. His school life isn't happy. He doesn't feel happy at school. He doesn't feel part of the gang. And it all comes to a head when he's in school, in art class, and the scissors are telling him to cut, because that's what scissors do. The scissors are telling him to cut. And they're telling him to cut his teacher. So Benny cuts himself. He stabs himself with his scissors. So he ends up being hospitalised. And the relationships that he forms in the hospital ripple out into his life afterwards. We have a whole collection of characters that Benny interacts with, and they're all people that are sort of off the grid. You've got a homeless man, a sort of a Marxist poet, an Eastern European Marxist poet who's in a wheelchair and surrounds himself with bottles. He collects bottles. We've got an artist, a conceptual artist, who she calls herself let me get this right, the Aleph. And she's a couple of years older than Benny, and he falls madly in love with her. And you've got other characters as well, and there's not a single character there that you don't like. They are all for Benny. They are there as Benny's almost support team. You've also got a narrator in this book, and the narrator is a book, the book of Benny's life. So you have things narrated by the book. The book is telling Benny things that have happened, and Benny gets really sort of, oi, you can't talk about my mum and dad like that, that's private. So you have the book telling Benny his life. So the book talks to Benny and talks about him, about his life. The one place that Benny finds solace, finds quiet, solitude, is the library. He loves going to the library. And when he bunks off school, that is where he always ends up, the library. Surrounded by books and the peace and the quiet. And you've also got, I can't remember her name now because she is on YouTube a lot. She's one of these Japanese tidy people who she tells you the right way of tidying everything. I can't remember her name. But you always feel that if you've got a sort of Zen Buddhist monk who has written this book about how to use Zen to tidy your house. And she's a character in the book as well. And it is a story, as I said, of love and loss, and dealing with the grief that this tragic event that ripped Benny's father and Annabelle's husband from their lives, the effect it had on them. You have the idea of impermanence as well, that nothing is forever. It's a book that, if you've got triggers, it's triggers on mental illness and depression. But it is great. I loved it because you've got so many different layers, and the characters in here, they are all compassionate characters, and they're all working to bring Benny and Annabelle, bring them back to a state where they can be at peace. So Ruth Ozeki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. It's a big book, but it is well worth it, and I thought it was great. So happy reading, take care, and bye.